Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special bonus episode of Dragon Ball Z: The Super Saiyan Legend. Now, there's sort of a lot of neat little details that I gloss over for the speedrun's sake, and with Skyzo, I'm going to be looking at that. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Let's see what this episode is about.
Now, for this training building, you can raise your ki or fight for money. I was wrong in the first episode when I said that items were the only way to get more funds. I forgot about this little thing since I use it so rarely. Now, to raise your ki, you'll want to either mash the A button or press all buttons as fast as possible. I get conflicting information on that, but I find that mashing all the buttons gives better results. Basically, you use ki points to raise your ki by a fraction of the amount. I've gotten as much as 5, because I think it's 50% of what your max is. Now, of course, ki is never a problem past the first episode, so this is kind of a waste of time, but still kind of neat. And this here are random fights, except you get Zenny instead of experience. You pay a minimum participation fee depending on where you're at in the game. At this point, it's 10 Zenny pieces. And if I were to quit in this first round, I get 15 back, which is enough for one Puar or Oolong. It is not worth the cost, but it's still cool.
Interesting.
So there's that. There's also the Zenkai. Do you see how Goku has 6 out of 80 HP?
Yeah, I do.
Now, the Zenkai is something exclusive to the Saiyans, Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan. If they ever go up to full HP from 5 or less HP, this happens to them. Boom! His power level has increased. He has jumped a whole level. Just like in the show.
That's a pretty neat attention to detail that you wouldn't expect from this game.
Indeed. Now, for Nappa and Vegeta, we made sure to recruit all the humans before fighting them. But if you do not do that, you just go straight to the boss fight. It kind of turns into a bloodbath, just like the show.
Really? So this happens in the show?
Yeah. Throughout the episodes before Goku arrives to fight Nappa, you are basically just watching all your favorite characters from Dragon Ball slowly getting butchered by Nappa, this seemingly invincible juggernaut. No matter how hard they try, like Chaozu even blows himself up trying to get Nappa, and Tien sacrifices his life, putting all his power into his last attack, and still, they just do nothing to this guy.
It's pretty brutal. Although, in the end, they do end up winning, right?
Once Goku arrives, yeah.
Damn, so they would not have been able to beat them without Goku?
They wouldn't have even been able to hurt them that much.
Wow, okay, so that's a difference of, like, power levels, right? Okay, that makes sense.
And now we're going to show somewhat of a trading quest that you can do in this scenario that, well, isn't that helpful, but is still pretty neat. Now, you see, Oolong is looking for some pictures of Launch. Now, Launch is a beautiful woman, and Oolong is something of a pervert. Not quite to the extent of Master Roshi, whose antics border on sexual harassment and assault at different points, because 50s Japan. And as part of this, we want to talk to Yajirobe, who sends us off on another fetch quest. He gives us what we need.
So this character, I guess, is the old man, right?
Which character?
The one that, like harasses people. I do recall him from the show. Yes, that's the old man.
Yep. Precisely.
So what's his name again?
Now we bought Master Roshi.
Master Roshi. Okay.
Which is we get a Northern Toad as our reward. And yeah, he's wishing for panties. Frickin' pig. And with this Northern Toad, we can give it to Yajirobe to present as food, and he gives us the Yajirobe card, which will come into play later on. Vegeta has a nasty trick if you let the fight last for too long, and this Yajirobe card is your get-out-of-free card. Pun not intended.
Right, so what does it do exactly in battle? I guess we're gonna see.
Yep. But first, we're going to see what the Moontail card actually does if you use it with Gohan. You use it, you burn a turn, and then this happens.
Well, I've never seen this before in this playthrough.
Because it's not very useful. You see, you get a melee attack and one really weak key attack. Like, it only has a multiplier of base power of 8 compared to, like, all the other moves, which are like 20 to 30. So it actually doesn't do a lot of damage. And even though it multiplies his power level by 10, Gohan is still really weak for this point, so he's still weaker than Vegeta.
Really, that's underwhelming. I mean, you expect him to do a little bit more damage, but oh well.
Yeah. You also gotta love the animations. Watch this, watch this!
That's pretty cool.
And the death knell to all this is that Vegeta has a special move that just removes the transformation entirely, just like the show.
Right.
And then Gohan dies and you get a game over.
I've never seen the game over screen, so this is new to me.
Well, depending on which scenario you're in, it's either Vegeta or Freeza flying in the screen. Now, if you drag on the fight for a long time, and I mean a really long time, enough that I needed like 16 Kami cards to make it happen, Vegeta can also turn into an Oozaru, and his power level is 18,000, so he gets 180,000, which actually makes him the third strongest enemy in the game, not counting all of Frieza's forms. So that's really dangerous. You want to nip that in the bud.
Could you imagine just having to sit through every animation just to get to this?
I did sit through every animation.
Well, you did have speed up though, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, so like in real time I would imagine it would be something like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Damn.
Now, using Krillin's Destructo Disc is one way you can get rid of this transformation, but the problem is Vegeta kills him as well. So we want to avoid that. So instead, we use the Yajirobe card. And following that, we want Goku to use a really powerful attack. Preferably a Z Kamehameha.
Right.
And since it takes so long for Vegeta to decide to do this, he'll probably be really weak. So, one Kamehameha will probably put him into the ground, even if you don't have Kamehameha up.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's a lot of detail to go into one fight that I just kind of just beat in like 2 to 3 turns.
Yeah, also, like, just finding these things, like, I guess he didn't take into account that like most people wouldn't sit through all the animations.
Yeah, that too. Still pretty cool. Now these Namekians we recruited in the base game, they're only friendly if you rescue Dende first. Otherwise, they assume that you're hostile and they'll actually fight you. If you make this mistake, you'll want to run away from the fight, which is guaranteed, fortunately. Because if you actually kill one of these guys, now they're stronger than you, but you have the Vegeta card with you, that'll actually cause a game over, and you'll see what happens.
Really? So I guess this would be the equivalent of like killing a main story character.
Well, an innocent person at the very least. And yes, it would be the equivalent.
Yeah, because like you need them to progress, and if you kill them, you just cut off access to the game. Does that make sense?
Yep. And then we get to see the second game over screen. Freeza replaces Vegeta.
It's interesting that they went through the trouble of just like remaking the game over screens.
Indeed, indeed. Now for our next trick, we will get all of our allies down to less than 50 HP because now we are finally going to demonstrate the experience underflow glitch. And to do that, we want about 9 boulders to smack us in the face in that one cave. That cave is the only place that the boulders show up, so you want to do that.
Right. Now I wonder if this is going to be an underflow or like an overflow. It's like, I wonder if it's signed or not.
Actually, it might be an overflow. I'm not really sure. I'm going to guess underflow based on what happens. You'll see. Because it involves some... Like, we get experience for some of our player characters dying, and I would guess they weren't assigned an EXP value.
Right. Let's see.
So, in any case, you want to go through all that before fighting Kui. Because if you fight him earlier than this, you're guaranteed to run away. And you want to run away until your key card is at an attack value of 1. The thing is, when you summon Vegeta in auto battle, he will always take your key card, unless you have more than 1. And we need him to use key cards for this to work, because he attacks in a fixed attack pattern when using ki. And he's also strong enough that even with only 1 star, he still beats the heck out of Kui. Like, one of the problems of this strat is just getting Kui to survive long enough.
It's impressive.
Indeed. Which is also why we're using the Grandpa card to paralyze him. Because the more people we have alive, the more likely this trick is to work.
Right.
And I'm demonstrating the fights to show that the human characters can barely damage him. That's important.
Okay.
I'll fast forward through this next round, don't worry. And here's the second in Vegeta's attack pattern. The one we want is the third in his attack pattern. And that's almost coming up. Of course, what can happen is that Vegeta could randomly choose a key card while doing a second attack. And that could be a problem. Well, actually, is it a problem? Actually, yes, it can be, because he could use a really weak keycard and actually fail to kill some of our characters. Here it is, the exploding wave.
Right. That's a lot of flashing. Have we seen this animation before?
I think we have? Okay, so that one failed. So reset and try again.
I don't know, it looks new to me. At least his pose in the beginning.
You know what? I think it is new. Okay, so this is what can happen. This move is something that can target allies as well as enemies. And I think something weird happens with how Vegeta is considered a player character and yet not at the same time. So when he kills all these guys, you actually get experience for this. And Vegeta killed 4 of them, so he just about wiped out our entire team, except for Gohan.
Really? Oh my god. Okay.
Yep. But it's an acceptable sacrifice, and you're gonna see why.
Now I wonder what happens when you get out of this battle. Do you just get a game over right away?
No. You just move on.
Really? So this is like a contained battle. It's just a cutscene.
It's not a cutscene, it's just something with Vegeta. Now, see all that EXP we got?
How much is that? Like 6 million? I think so, right?
Yeah. And that's enough to automatically raise all of our guys to their maximum possible level. 48, which is a bit arbitrary, but oh well. And Dende to level 3, because he takes a lot to level up.
That's pretty nuts. I mean, it looks like an underflow to me.
Look at their power levels.
Oh my god. Can you like reach this normally? Like how long would it take you?
You can reach it normally, but only with hours worth of grinding.
Okay, alright.
And this heal ability, Dende gets it at his maximum level. This restores 100% HP whenever you want to. The only downside is that Freeza kills him in a cutscene once he transforms into this form. And now, we're going to show how to kill Freeza before Goku shows up legitimately, because you don't even need glitch cards to accomplish this. The first step is to use Guru on a max level Piccolo and a max level Gohan. Both those steps are important.
Right.
Now, Piccolo alone isn't gonna do it. Like, he did all this damage against the weakest Freeza can possibly be, and yet he still does only a fraction of Frieza's HP, so we need Gohan.
It's kind of fascinating watching this.
Thank you. Now, as you can see, Gohan actually broke the power level. The last digit is I instead of a number.
Wow, really? That's nuts.
Now, the way you get a second tail card is by using that wish that I showed off in the main part 4. You can get a tail card instead of Porunga, and that's the only way you're gonna break the power level scale like this. And then we're just gonna use all of our strongest key attacks and reduce Frieza to 0 defense always, because that's the only way we're beating him in 3 turns.
Right, so I'm guessing that the reason for the I and the number is because there's no option really, it's hexadecimal, so it's like bleeding into the number. That makes sense.
Yeah. Oh.
Then what happened?
I sneezed.
That's fine.
Alright, one last round. Can we do it before Goku shows up?
Wow, that is a lot of damage.
It is. Even with how weak that Ki Blast normally is. Like I said, base power of 8 instead of like 20 or 30.
Is there any instance of one-shotting like a boss in this game?
Yeah, we did that in part 1, I believe.
Was that really in one shot? I feel like it was more, like 2.
No, wait, you're right. It could have been a one-shot if... It could be a one-shot, but that's not reliable. Oh, yes, Ginyu. No, wait, not Ginyu. I think it would have been possible with the Ginyu Force when we used that Kaioken. Oh yeah, I believe we one-shot Freeza when Goku first turned into a Super... Yes, he used a Kamehameha, did more than 1700 damage, and then he followed up with a headbutt and just killed Freeza before he could do anything.
Right, so that was a critical hit.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
God bless y'all.
Okay, see you, YouTube.
Bye.